you're doing.
No, you're good. You can. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Me. All right. All right. For several decades, Mexican drug cartels have dominated the illicit drug market by controlling 90% of the drugs that enter the United States. At one point, members of these cartels worked for or with the Colombian cartels, but the Mexican cartels have taken over to become the organizations they are today. The cartel's presence is reported in more than 1,000 U.S. cities, and they make between $10 and $50 billion from drug sales in the U.S. each year. Drugs aren't the only problem in the U.S. caused by the cartels. We're constantly having to defend our border from illegal immigrants, with almost all of them coming from Mexico. Many Mexican residents are fleeing the country seeking for safety, and it is believed that of the 230,000 people displaced from Mexico, roughly half fled to the U.S. The cartels have been using violence and intimidation as a way to make money for years, and they are bringing these methods across the border into American territory. I'm going to talk about the history of the Mexican drug cartels, how they function, and the biggest rivalry between them. Believe it or not, these multi-billion-dollar drug organizations all started because of one man. The origin of the cartels can be traced back to former Mexican federal police agent Felix Gallardo, a man who is considered to be the godfather of all Mexican drug cartels. He founded the Guadalajara cartel in 1980 and controlled all illegal drug trade in Mexico and on the Mexico-U.S. border throughout the 1980s. When the DEA started to close in on Gallardo, he recruited the nation's top drug traffickers to control all of his territories for him. After nearly a decade of running drugs, Gallardo was arrested on April 9, 1989. Since his arrest, the cartels have only grown in size and become more violent. The cartels can be thought of as global businesses. They are concerned with bringing their product to the market in the most efficient way possible in order to maximize their profits. Wars between cartels began over who controlled strategic routes and warehouses where drugs were consolidated before entering the U.S. The Mexicans have become more powerful through unprecedented and brutal violence. Mass killings, torture and dismemberment, and car bombs have all been used to settle disputes, maintain discipline among employees, and maintain order with suppliers and buyers. The violence has also been directed toward the government and news media. In 2011, 10 communications workers, including 8 professional journalists, were murdered. This happened because they were simply doing their job in covering the war on drugs in Mexico. Over the years, 2 cartels have become dominant rivals: the Sinaloa in the western part of Mexico and the Los Zetas cartel in the east. This is a map created by the DEA that shows what cartels control what parts of Mexico, and all of this orange is controlled by the Sinaloa cartel, with all of this green being controlled by the Los Zetas cartel. The Sinaloa cartel is run by Joaquin Guzman, a man recently described as the world's most powerful drug trafficker. His organization is responsible for about half of the illegal narcotics imported into the U.S. from Mexico each year. His cartel can buy a kilogram of cocaine in Colombia for $2,000 and sell it wholesale in the U.S. for $30,000. If broken down and sold in individual grams, that same kilogram of cocaine can make his cartel $100,000. The Sinaloa cartel also produces and exports marijuana, methamphetamines, and heroin. Their rival, the Los Zetas cartel, is known to be an extremely violent group that's centered around Mexican military deserters. It is described as the most technologically advanced, sophisticated, and dangerous cartel operating out of Mexico. The cartels have been a huge problem in Mexico for years, and soon they will be our problem too if we can't do anything to stop them. Mexico has made attempts to stop the cartels, but that only resulted in more violence. In December 2006, Mexico's new president, Felipe Calderón, launched an aggressive campaign against the cartels. The leaders of the 7 most significant cartels were either arrested or killed, but the violence continued. By the end of Calderón's 6-year term in 2012, it is estimated that 10,000 organized crime-related murders will have taken place in each year of his term. While most of these victims were guilty and involved in the business, just as many were innocent, including 1,000 children. Hopefully the U.S. and Mexican governments can team up and find a way to shut down the cartels and end the violence for good. That's it. How long was it?
Yeah, did you everybody again?
Oh, yeah. Gosh. All right.